It is reborn, man. I'm just gonna say it. It's just reborn, man. What is Gucci, Mano Cheese? Welcome to the Half Court Podcast. Give everybody that's been listening or watching our podcast, big shout out to you guys.
Me everywhere we rapping half court. You know.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, what is Gucci, Mano Cheese? We are live. Welcome to the Half Court Podcast. I am Darwin. We got AV behind the camera, and today we got a very special guest, man. We're gonna do a little therapy here. We got therapist Wes.
Because God knows we need it.
Yes, we need it, man. Hey, brother, welcome to the podcast, and I appreciate you for taking the time to, do this podcast with us, man.
Thank you. No problem, man. My pleasure.
Kind of tell the people what do you do, and let's just go from there.
Okay. Mental health therapy. It's mental health therapy. Some people call us therapists. Some people call us counselors. Don't call me late to dinner. But therapist, counselor, either one, I think the terms are kind of interchangeable.
Yeah.
A little bit.
So
what do you call yourself? Like when somebody asks, what do you do? Like, do you say I'm a therapist? Or?
I'm a therapist.
Okay.
Sometimes that requires a little extra explanation. A lot of people say, oh, physical therapy? No.
Yeah, today I made a post and I said, we're going to have a therapist on the podcast. So if you guys have topics that you guys want to touch on, let us know what they are. Then somebody said, a physical therapist?
I saw that.
I was like, no, bro, like a Dr. Phil type thing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So what got you into this whole, career of mental health and being a therapist?
Well, I knew that question was coming up, so I thought about it. I've answered it a few times. I was in therapy myself. I was a single dad, and my youngest needed a lot of extra attention, and it was a little struggle in the house. Single parents out there can really, feel me on that one. And so I found my own therapist to make sure that I was right in my mind and I could go home and be the best I could for my daughter. And during that, it kind of transitioned over to, hey, let's do some therapy on Wes. And it was, are you happy with yourself? Are you where you want to be? And I wasn't really quite sure I was happy where I wanted to be. I was working as a manager, and I loved that job, but what I didn't like was the extra business stuff that went along with that. But what I loved about it was the people aspect. I was a people manager. I love people. And the biggest thing I always felt was if I take care of my people, they take care of my customers, and the business moves forward. So what kind of roadblocks, everything do I need to remove from them so they can be successful in their life? And that conversation transpired with a therapist, and she said, well, hey, they got this program down at OU. One thing led to another. I called them up the next day, started my path. That was 2013. Wrapped up my master's degree, all 60 credits of that, graduated. And 2017, took some tests, did some supervision, and got my license. So here I am.
Nice. Would you say that like therapy session that you had triggered you to go through that path of
How long did you do therapy for? Before you decided that you were going to be a therapist?
Well, I decided I was going to go down the pathway, but I stayed with her for a while just because it felt good. Having somebody I could come in and talk to every week, express my feelings, but have confidentiality and know that, hey, it's not going to be out there on the street and not everybody's going to hear it. So you can express whatever you want in that session. The door's closed, and so I kept it going. But I'd say it was really soon after we had that kind of, it was probably about August of that year that we started talking about, well, what do you really want to do with your life? Where are you really going? What would make you really happy? And I'd always kind of thought, I took an abnormal psych class at Oklahoma City University, and I was really jazzed about psych. But I stuck with a business degree.
Gotcha.
And then, so it was a natural progression. It was like, well, I never did explore that other side of myself. Let me go ahead and do that. And it's just turned out to be something I love, I'm passionate about. I wake up in the morning, and it's not like, oh, God, I got to go to work today. Oh, what is this shit? No, it was like, let's go to work today.
Right.
I was pumped, and I love to sit in that room and see the transition of people going from, oh, God, I don't know what's going on with my life. I'm feeling this way or that. And
to figuring it out and like coming up with a plan.
Yes. And then is, and the great things that people are doing. And, oh, man, this fell in place. Oh, this fell in place. Well, yeah, you got a positive attitude now. You see the opportunities.
Yeah.
And when it knock, 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 you're opening that door rather than keeping it closed and staying comfortable and sad and depressed and anxious and stressed.
That is pretty cool. And it to me, it's amazing that, like, maybe, like, when at a young age or, like, you don't know what you want to do until, like, you just start trying stuff, because, I mean,
Exactly.
It's crazy. Like there's people, like, that don't know what to do, and then later down the road, they try something, and they're like, oh, I like this, and they turn that into a passion. So, like, that's pretty amazing, man. That's pretty amazing, because you say you were happy with the job as a manager, but it was, like, maybe, I don't want to do this for the rest of my life. Like,
Right.
it was that kind of thing.
I mean,
So
the money
what-
was good. I could have done it, but,
Right.
money is not everything. And the money starts to stagnate and plateau after a while if you stay comfortable and you stay right where you're at, if
Right.
you're not passionate about it. But if you're passionate about something, man, that's where you can grow things and all that. Like that young man, Isaiah, that you had on here.
Yes.
That is so passionate at, what is he, almost 17 now?
Yeah.
But passionate. I don't want to work for somebody. I want to own my own business. I want to do that. That passion.
Yeah.
Bro,
There's something about that.
Yeah.
feels
I don't know
like
if you
and me.
if you saw the boxer Alex Salcedo. He's a professional boxer.
I heard
and-
y'all talking about him, but
So
I didn't
this
make
is
that-
literally, I seen it go from, I would train with him when we were kids. We were like 14 to him fighting at the Chesapeake Arena as a professional boxer. Fucking, like, that was the fact that he said, I'm going to be a professional boxer, and then he became a professional boxer
It's mind-blowing.
fucking crazy, bro.
It's
like,
mind-blowing, yeah.
Yes.
that's a strong mind.
Yeah, I think, like I said, it's just when I get, like, some kind of, like, high when I see people doing their own thing. Like, rather if you're still at your job, but you're figuring it out on the side, like, that is, like, the ultimate. Like, I feel like it's just the ultimate high that you can get from just seeing people do what they want, Mm-hmm. And right now you're doing this full-time, right?
Full time.
Full-time.
Absolutely.
So it's like you go, schedule your patients, and, yeah, it goes from there. So kind of tell us about your day. Like, what does a busy day look like? And
What is a day in the life of Wes?
Yeah,
consist of?
what does it look like, boss?
I see clients on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. That's the nice thing about owning your own business and deciding what you want to do. You set your own hours. You have to stay into it because you got all that free time. You got to stay focused. But Tuesday, Wednesdays, Thursdays are pretty much stacked. My first session is usually about 10 o'clock in the morning, and I won't stop sometimes until last session will start about 8 o'clock. So I'm done about 9-ish in the evening, sometimes a little earlier depending on when that last session is. Maybe there's a blank spot in the day somewhere in there, so I'll write a few notes, grab
Take a
a
little
bite to
break.
eat real quick
Yeah.
or something. But, yeah, a lot of times I got back-to-back clients.
Easy.
Hour
3 days
sessions
in a
or
row.
30-minute sessions?
Sessions I bill for are supposed to be 45, but I'm a talker, and if somebody's making a breakthrough, I don't necessarily stop right at the time. I need to set better boundaries.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
But
pretty much.
if they're getting something out of it, and I enjoy my clients because they're invested in themselves, I'm invested in them, and so it turns out to be about an hour,
Yeah.
sometimes a little earlier.
And I'm sure they all understand. Like, if you're a little backed up or whatever, it's like they were just talking about some deep shit.
Yes. I've seen a lot of, celebrities and stuff, especially say that therapy has been one of the best things that happened to them. Like when they started going to therapy and, telling people they're just letting everything out. Like Miley Cyrus was one. She hopped on the Joe Rogan podcast and she was just saying like, yeah, I'm glad I did therapy. And she's done it for, I want to say 5 years. Don't quote me on that, but it's been amazing for her. Like it's helped her
I just
realize
feel
a lot of
that
shit.
like mental health is very under talked about, and then when you are going through a problem, at least like it's a culture thing. Like for example, in my culture, like if as a Mexican, if you fucking are going through something, it's like
Tough.
no sea culo, like
Yeah,
like
don't be
a pussy, like. Therapy, bro. You're gonna go pay somebody to listen to your shit. Like that's how they look at it,
Yeah.
and it's like, bro, you gotta go to the gym to stay healthy. You gotta we gotta take care of our mind too.
Yes.
You know what I'm
Yes.
saying?
Exactly. I think
I
that's
feel
what
like that's
that's
when
what it
people
is.
just like
It's a muscle.
They
It's a
wanna-
muscle
Exactly.
like anything else. And if you pay attention to it and you exercise it, by going to therapy and you do all that, man, bro, it gets stronger, and you're able to handle those stresses, those anxieties, everything that comes at you. You got things in your toolbox. Okay, I feel this way. I need to do that, or I need to take a moment away, or whatever, as long as it's healthy, right? But if you don't, just like a muscle, it'll get smaller, get weaker, it atrophies, and that's no good.
Yeah. Yeah, it's that's crazy. When it comes to that kind of stuff, I feel
other than like when you go to therapy, obviously you articulate your thoughts and like you are able to put them out. But like, how are you able to relate to the people? Like, I guess is my question. Like, how do you, like, if I go tell you my problems, how would you know what to tell me? Like,
that's a good one.
I come from a complete different background, like than you. Like, do you just listen at that point, or
yeah? It's listening to you, building rapport, finding out about you, because that hour that you were in that office is about you. It's not about me. It's not about Darwin. It's not about anybody. It's about you and only you. So I will listen to you and find out how you're feeling, and I mean, that's where that old catchphrase, how does that make you feel? That's where that comes in. Well, how does it make you feel? Does it make you feel okay? Does it make you feel sad? Are you pissed off? What is it? And by doing that, I can relate to you just in the way you feel. Because I've had many experiences in my life. I may not have the same culture and background, raising, neighborhood, whatever, but I've had a lot of experiences that were stressful, depressive, and all of that.
And you know how the brain works. So that's another.
There you go. It's just building a relationship with somebody and listening to them. A lot of times you speak it into existence. I know you've heard that before.
Yeah.
You speak it into existence, and now it's out there. And if you address it, it sounds different and often better and relieving once it's out there and it's floating around in the room. And maybe we do some cognitive reframing about how you thought about whatever it was that made you mad, sad, or anxious.
Why do you think it's so hard for people to have those hard conversations?
Because of the way we're raised. There's a stigma on mental health, and we don't raise you like you said. Oh man, come on, don't be pussy. What are you? You feeling sad? Oh man, come on, man. Why are you sad? Oh, you little boo-hoo. Come on, man. Rub some dirt on it. Dry it up.
Drink some fucking beers.
Yeah. Here, have another beer.
Right.
Oh, yeah, that works.
Temporarily, I think. I mean,
temporarily it does. You get that little pause. You get drunk, but you're gonna get sober again.
You're gonna get back to that.
You're gonna get back to it, and that problem did not go away. And if it's something you're shoving way down inside of you,
oh boy,
man, it's like carrying around a backpack. I use the backpack analogy all the time. And it's like, well, if you carry around a backpack full of feathers, those would be like good memories, right? You're carrying around a whole bunch of good memories. That backpack light as hell. Now you start throwing some bowling balls in there. Whatever it is that you're not dealing with, you're still carrying that around, and it's a weight, and it pulls you down, and it affects the way you interact with other people, especially on the job.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
That makes sense, yeah.
That's when you start being grumpy and fucking just...
Don't want to wake up.
Right.
I don't want to go to this job.
That's a big one. Not wanting to wake up. Like, you're just in bed, and it's like, why do I just want to lay here? Like, you just don't want to face reality.
Right. Yes. I want to face reality, want to hide, and I'll find the cool side of the pillow and cover my head up. Let's go.
So there was one question here. Shout out to Aaron for the post that said, how do you keep your chin up in times like this to just not get down,
Like right now with
pandemic and being inside and you just lost your job. And
knowing that you might get sick and all that crazy stuff.
Yeah. Well, that's staying inside the house. If you're inside the house and you're always staring at four walls, you're not going anywhere, you're not getting out, you're not seeing people, and naturally I understand we don't want to gather in big groups or anything like that, but you can do things like go to a park, go down by the lake, go fishing. I mean, you're by yourself, right? So fish aren't going to give you corona.
Right.
Get outside, and I say get outside because the sun naturally
energy.
that creates vitamin D in our bodies. That's a natural antidepressant. You get low levels of vitamin D, it's going to make you feel more depressed and more into yourself. If you got a house that doesn't have a lot of windows or you keep the curtains closed all day long, well, that adds to that, right? So get out and find something that you enjoy doing. You can even, some of the gyms are open now. You know, be safe, of course, but if you like working out, I had some friends that said, well, I'm not going to the gym anymore, and so they invested in some weights and converted their garage, and then they can still work out. They open up the door and blast some music, and they work out.
Have a
That's
good time.
He figured it out.
Working out, that's kind of healthy too. It kind of pumps your body up.
It makes you
Your
feel
body
good.
kind of, it kind of gets everything moving around, gets the endorphins, and
Yeah.
that makes you feel better. Listen to music is another good coping skill for that, but you got to be careful what you listen to, right? It's just like eating. You are what you eat. So if you sit around listening to a lot of depressive music, you can't just back to back listen to Adele all day long.
Right.
That's
gonna
bring you down. So
yeah.
you got to pump it up. You got to get some good.
What's on your playlist?
My playlist? Oh, man. My
Just a
playlist
couple.
is a little eclectic. Everything. I've got some jazz on there, a lot of classical. I play classical when I'm trying to work and think because there's no words. I can concentrate that way.
I use I think it's lo-fi. Is it lo-fi? Where it's just like
Yeah.
smooth melody beats. Like I'll use that when I'm like editing pictures and stuff.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
that really works. Like it helps you focus more.
Because it's just in the background.
Right.
There's no words.
Right.
But now when I'm rolling down the street, it's a little bit of everything. Everything from 70s and 80s rock to, I don't know, there's hip hop, there's rap, Tupac.
Ah,
Nice.
okay.
A little bit
Yeah.
of that and a lot of the newer stuff too, Roddy Ricch and all that. I mean,
Okay. So yeah, just a balance of a little bit of everything,
Yeah.
I think, when it comes to the situation on being inside, I think another thing is like a lot of people are working from home. I think it's, going outside. Like if you're working from a computer, like bring that computer outside. Like I moved into a house and I just made sure like I had chairs outside and it feels good, man. It just feels good. Like I'll take my dog outside and just chill with him for probably 15, 30 minutes and just look at the sun, like just do a little like sun gazing, and that helps a lot because it's like you said, the vitamin D is very important for you. And it's a lot of Americans like don't have enough vitamin D, and that's very important for this corona thing, this COVID. So
I just think it's like, because when I lived in Mexico, I was outside all the time, like running around. And when I came to the United States, it was like watch cartoons
and stay inside
and eat cereal and fucking just chill. Like, I don't know. It's odd. Like, it's like Americans just, we'd like to be inside.
Well, I think you mentioned, I can't remember which one. I can't remember which podcast I saw, but you were talking about when parents are raising the kids. And, it used to be you take them outside or do whatever. And now it's like, oh, well, here's a tablet.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. I think
crazy.
Raising the roof at Texas Roadhouse.
So
yeah, seriously.
what kind of impact do you think that has in a kid growing up where like if they cry, give them the tablet. If they're bored, give them a tablet. Do you think
What kind of problems are they going to have later on, do you think?
It's very hard for them to self-soothe is a good term. They can't self-soothe. They need something.
Right.
It's like you've traded their binky for a tablet. And so when they're having those stressful moments,
You traded their pinky?
their binky, their
pacifier.
pacifier. When they were babies, they had a pacifier. Maybe
You take that off and they start.
They take it away, and we get them weaned off the pacifier. But now what do? We shove a phone or a tablet in front of them, and now if the battery runs out, which it will, because they'll watch videos and play games, and then it's dead, and they don't want to leave it alone to charge or anything. And now what are you going to do? They don't get out and do their own thing, and they need that imaginative, go outside and play for a while, get out there, do the trampoline, shoot some hoop, do whatever you're going to do, ride a tricycle, ride a bicycle, get out there and play. Here, I bought you a skateboard, go have fun. You know,
Like
and that's
basically,
important.
they're not looking at their surroundings or what's going on. It's just like I see it at the barbershop all the time. Basically, the kids are there,
Locked in.
and everything around them is like almost not like it's not there. It's just like they're just on the
Right.
crazy.
Now, not to say that there's not a good time and place for those. If you're going to the barbershop and you need Junior to stay put for a while, hey, here's some videos, go watch. I think that's okay, but it shouldn't be the only thing they know how to do. It should be, it's another tool in the toolbox, but you're
It
not
shouldn't be
always.
the only one you use.
Right.
You know.
Yeah, exactly. If that's the only coping skill, what happens when you don't have it?
Right.
Yeah, it's like an addictive.
Exactly.
It's like the casino. Like you see all those things going around. Like,
Yeah.
That's-
Hit the button.
Yeah.
wild.
So you listen to like a lot of people and their stories and stuff like that. Do you let, like, when you have like a lot of negativity as far as like patients and stuff, do you let that like impact you, or like how do you combat that, like as far as trying to not let it affect you and switch their mindset, you know?
Right. We try some reframing. You know, we reframe the whole conversation and look at it in a different light. You know, if it was something that was negatively impactful, some of that there's not, you know, if you were abused by your spouse, significant other or something, it's very hard to reframe that into something that is positive unless you look at it in the light of, okay, well, what did that motivate you to do? Okay, now you've come here to therapy. We're working on that. So that's something that we're going to work on moving past. I don't like let it go, move past, you know, get over it. I don't like that term, because we don't actually get over things like that. We carry them forward with us. So we need to learn how to deal with them. And that's kind of why, you know, you listen to somebody. Like you asked the question earlier, AV, and it's just, we listen, we find out what you want to do. It's like, okay, well, that's fine. Well, what energy does that give you to do something different in your life? What energy does that give you to maybe ask certain questions and set better boundaries on your next relationship or your next job? Because certainly jobs can become toxic, just like it's a relationship like any other. So what kind of goals and boundaries are we setting now so that doesn't happen? And that gives a future view. Okay, this happened, but what lessons did I learn from it that I carry with me forward that it doesn't happen again?
That'll make the way I look at it is like that'll like make you a better, like you said, a better person. So if you fucked up in a relationship, now what did I do that made that shit just?
What could I take from it that
So
so I can
where the
become
next
better?
girl,
So
I
I
can
become
be
a-
and with the next one I might fuck up too, but at
Right.
least like
It'll
I'll
be
be
less.
better than I did with
Right.
the last one,
Right.
which kind of sucks in a sense because like damn, like she didn't get the best of me, like she got the mistake.
Yeah, it happens.
like fuck, man,
It happens,
It's,
but that's what dating is, right? You're
Yeah.
learning the other person's learning you, and you're learning how to enmesh someone else in your life.
yeah.
And if you're going down the road and you're trying to do that and you find out, oh, I don't know, it's like trying to build a machine and you're a cog with square pegs, you know, and they've got like teeth. Well, you're going to kind of work in a relationship, but it's not really going to work that well. You need to try to find somebody who has a lot of the same likes and dislikes and does things like you do so that you can come
just
together.
be there together
Right.
and not it just feels good being there. Like it's
Right.
not like you're forcing it. You're
Not
like
to say that you don't need to change some things to be with them. There's compromises in any relationship, but you shouldn't compromise your entire person to be with them because you can only maintain that for so long. Honeymoon period is gone, and then now what you going to do?
Right.
Because
like fuck this motherfucker.
Hey, we're already at it, so might as well. You know, you pretty much get a lot of couples, and
I do have some couples.
Yeah.
A lot of couples, a lot more individuals, although I do have some couples. A lot more individuals, and some of those come and they've had relationship issues. And then we talk about that. Okay, well, what are you doing here? What are you doing there? What are the boundaries you need to set next time? Maybe you don't move so fast into the relationship so that you can find out what he is really like. You know, you shouldn't be getting married after knowing somebody for a month.
Oh, God,
that's catastrophic failure
yes.
there. You know, you need to go down the road for a while and figure out if you're really going to like somebody before you get that far. And even a serious relationship at a certain degree, you need to give it some months, find out who they are.
Do you recommend moving in quick as well? Because I think that's another atrocious or catastrophic situation. Because it's like
because now
y'all
you're
still
there.
figure you're there every day with them, and then you're trying to figure each other out. So it's like if it doesn't work, then y'all like
Right.
you know.
Well, I'm here now. My name's on the list. Oh shit.
That's a big one.
Yeah, I always say, you know, when I have my buddies that are very, like, I guess in love and they're, you know, planning on moving in, I'm like, slow down. My brother especially, like,
Chill, bro.
yeah, chill.
Yeah.
You're
But
still
at the
young.
end of the day, what I've learned though is that, or most people don't. You can, because even with me, my dad would tell me, "Don't do this, don't do that," and I would still do it. Like people, you can tell them, but it's like they're not gonna listen.
It goes back to you
Why
can take the
that
horse
happened.
to the water. It's up to them to drink it. You know?
Can't make them
It's
drink
like,
it.
You can't make them drink.
Love makes us blind. It's all that fuzzy butterfly stuff that fogs our mind. And that's why going down the road 2 or 3 months and letting that fuzzy butterfly, oh, I can't wait to talk to her, can't wait to talk to him kind of thing, we want it to go away. We want to be out of that puppy love stage so we can find out if we're really
Like leveled. Like you can't
Yes.
get too high on, like Steve-O
right.
said on one of the podcasts, you can't get too high on the highs and too low on the lows. Like you gotta kind
Keep
of
that balance.
You gotta be
shit might be
balanced.
fucking awesome, but it might, you know, like
Crash.
you gotta. It's,
Yeah.
it's,
Right.
it's a tough little.
because it's both sides, right? I mean, if we're feeling it, she's feeling it, and that, hey, I'm not saying don't enjoy those 3 months or 4 months, however long it lasts. I mean, it's great. Enjoy the moment, but just know that if you're getting down to the end of that 3 months, it's like, man, I think I'm going to try to make it go with this. Okay, well, if you've been setting healthy boundaries the whole time with, no, I don't like that, I like this, and you're really learning about each other, you're going to get to that 3rd or 4th month, and it's like, yeah, let's do this, and you keep going for a while longer and see if it really
good
can
advice right there.
last.
Yeah.
solid advice. I never thought of that. Like
Yeah.
that's
Yeah, don't do something in the first couple of weeks that you really don't like to do just because she says, oh, come on, baby. I mean, if you don't like it, let her know. I mean, there's pleasant ways to tell people that, no, I really don't like that. You know, you wouldn't sit down. This is another analogy I use with people. You wouldn't go into a restaurant and, well, I wouldn't because I don't like this. I wouldn't sit down in a restaurant and order liver and onions. No way in hell. Not going to do it. I don't like it. I'm not going to eat the meal. So if I go in there and order liver and onions, well, I'm committed now. I got to eat it.
'Cause you paid for it.
Because I paid for it.
Yeah.
No. I'd rather have a chimichanga, some lasagna, or anything. Just not liver and onion.
And the thing is, what gets me is why do we want people to agree with us? Like that's been a problem in my life where I want people to agree with me, so that's what makes it such a problem when like I guess you have different, like you don't like this, so I'm not gonna just fuck with you because
Right.
you don't like doing this. When it's like, and it would bother me that it's like I'm telling you the right thing. Why don't you want to do it? I'm telling you the right thing, but you're just doing the dumb shit over there, you know. And it's like so frustrating. I don't know. It's that you almost want. It's like if I tasted a really good chicken sandwich and I'm like, bro, try this chicken sandwich. And it used to be I'd get like, this fool's tripping. He don't like this chicken sandwich, like.
Yeah,
And that's how a lot of people are. Like they're just like what you like, but let people like what they like, you know. And,
Exactly.
and
Well, you want them to be an individual, right?
Yeah.
Especially if you're dating someone, but even in friendly relationships, you're building a friendship with somebody. You want them to. I mean, that's kind of what draws you together because they like some things that you like, but you like separate things. So you can go off and do your own thing, and that's cool. Hey, I'm going to go down here and I'm going to do this. Okay, well, that's cool. I'm going to go over here and do my thing.
Yeah.
And you can have some time apart, which is also important in any kind of a relationship, is being able to have that time apart from each other and you don't feel so suffocated.
Yeah,
and
control. Like, I
claustrophobic.
think it gets a lot of people try to control the other person to have them think like they think. And it's like, bro, nobody's ever going to think just like you think. Like, it's,
Recipe
that's
for
one
failure.
lesson that I had to learn.
I had to learn it too.
I would
Yeah.
want motherfuckers to be on the same page as me. And I'm like, bro, why? Why is this not working?
Yeah, it's definitely an issue when it comes to that. When it comes to like letting go of a long-term relationship, because you know it's not gonna work, but it's like they've been together for so long, they're used to each other, but they know it's not gonna work.
Right.
What is like the best way to handle it?
What's the best
and
way to let
pull
it go?
To pull the trigger.
Or
pretty
like you
much.
said, you can't let it go. You
It's-
carry it with you.
It's like a Band-Aid.
Gotta rip it
You know,
off.
you just gotta. It's one of those things that if you know it's not working, if you know you're incompatible, well, at what point do you just call it and say, look, I mean, this is great. I mean, we're great friends, and you can have that conversation. And I think that's where the whole, can we still be friends? I think that's where that kind of comes from, because you are good friends at some level.
It's just not
You
a
know,
romantic thing.
It's just
no
not a
more.
romantic thing anymore. You didn't work, and I think that's why not moving in too soon and dating for a while, so you can try to kind of figure that out before.
You get into the
You
mess.
Yeah,
get
because a lot of
into-
people tend to
get
do
to
that. Is it because they're probably
enmesh.
used to just being with somebody? Because like some people will like leave a long-term relationship and then they'll go
Jump
ahead
right
and
into another
jump
one.
right into another one. It's like give yourself to heal first. Give yourself time to figure like where did you mess up and kind of go from there. Because I mean,
Before you go
a
on
breakup is not easy. A breakup leads to a lot of like sadness
Trauma,
and
kinda.
like you kind of like
Mental
ah
Can
man.
be trauma.
Because you're used to that person, and then like when y'all break up, y'all don't see each other anymore, or like
You're like, damn, she's fucking over there probably being a little slut. God damn it.
Those concerns might be there as well.
they might be there. You know they're there. You know for
Wow.
sure. But like, yeah, I think it's it goes back to that like figuring yourself out and like giving it time. You know, but
Yeah.
What gets me is how we never had any classes or like basically you have your first girlfriend and then you just fucking figure it out. Like it's not like I mean, I guess now you can read books or like watch people on YouTube give you some advice. Like this,
Tune into
this
the
is
half
good
court.
stuff. But
yes, let's do therapy with Alex. Yep,
Yeah, man.
yeah, but like, I mean, shit. When my first relation, I mean, I'm sure your relationship, you just had to fucking do it and then trial and error, basically. Like,
I still remember my first date, and it was what was it, 8th grade, maybe 7th, 8th grade, something like that. And I'd asked this girl out at the dance, and whew, I was psyched. So of course I can't drive, so we pull up in her driveway, and the dad's kind of looking at me. I'm like, well, honk the horn. Because that's what we always do, right? Honk the horn. My friends come out of the house, get in the car, we go. And Dad's like, oh, no, that's not how this works. You're on a date. You get yourself out of the car. You're going to walk up there. You're going to ring the doorbell. You're going to meet her parents, and you're going to walk her back to the car. And when you get back here, you're going to open up the car door. You're going to let her in, and then you're going to go around the car and get in the other side. You
you're
got
like,
me?
oh shit.
And I'm like, oh.
It's a
He
lot
says,
of
"Yeah,
work."
that's what men do. And we had that conversation. And and so I was like, okay, I got that. And it worked like a charm too, because I got the slow dance and everything was great.
Man, one thing that kind of triggered something that you mentioned about the, opening the door, meeting the parents and stuff. Something triggered that there's a basketball player named Carlos Arroyo from Puerto Rico, and he posted a picture of him on a date with his daughter. And he's like, I take my daughter on a date from time to time, and I be the most gentleman person I can be. I can, like that way she can get familiar with what is a real gentleman.
How she's
Right.
supposed to be treated.
How she's
Yeah.
supposed to be treated. I'm like, whoa,
Yeah,
that makes
that's
sense.
cool.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
makes sense because like even like if you grow up with like no father side or mother side and like nobody's there to teach you
and
those
that's
things.
where girls fuck up and have
Right.
those like daddy issues because the
Right.
dad wasn't there. So then they're looking for a guy that's gonna like comfort them like a dad would, which is kind of fucking. I don't
But
know,
even
it's
other
something
guys,
else, like-
even like guys will just talk and tell the girls what they want to hear and then go and ends up
Yeah.
getting her pregnant and then leaving. And you just got to know. I feel like you just got to know, not be too quick with it. Take your time. Because if it's really going to work out, it's going to work out. It's just going to be a matter of time. But I think that was pretty interesting just to kind of,
that's a good.
for in the future when I become a parent, just to know.
Oh, absolutely. Because then she is better able to see what she wants in
A guy.
And you watch movies, and you see what you want in a girl, you see what you want in a guy, and you see how they treat it. So you need to, and again, this is going back to your comment that was, man, I got to set these boundaries. I'm going to let you know what I like and what I want. And if I'm not getting that, and if it's in a certain kind of red flag area, he's not opening doors for me.
It's not going to work. Yeah.
He's not attentive to me when we're on the date. He's always looking at other women. Ding, 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 ding. Red flag. Okay, well, this will probably be the only date with him.
Yeah.
And you've got to stay true to yourself on that one, not have that voice in the back of your head saying, "Oh, he can change." Bro, he's showing you exactly who he is right now. This is the first date. This is when he should be on his best, absolute best behavior, and he's not showing you any of that.
He's already fucking up.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah.
And that's I feel like with, at least in my experience, a lot of times what makes that, like what blinds it is like the beauty of the girl. Like she's so fucking hot that you're just like, fuck the red flags. Like, and that's bad. That's like,
Yes.
But I think that happens a lot to people. They're just like, man, she's so hot that I don't care. She's kind of crazy. Like,
Yeah. But that's like taking a job you don't like because the money's good.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Oh,
It's
Yep.
it's the same, it's the same kind of relationship catastrophe waiting to happen, because 6 months from now you're going to hate the job, you're not performing, you don't want to get up and go to work. Well, the same thing with it. Man, I don't know if I want to go. Oh man, she's texting me again, I got to do that. Or it happens on the girl side too. Oh man, he's texting me again. Oh, I don't want to go out on Friday night with this guy. Well, he looked good, so you dated him, and now you're stuck because it's 6 months down the road and you're too enmeshed. Well, you got to rip the Band-Aid off and just say, it's not working for me. I got my own future goals, and you're not part of it.
Right.
So with the whole changing thing, how, in your experience, how often do you think people actually change? Like, if you could take a wild guess, like, do people actually change?
Sure.
After you said a breakup?
No, like,
Or
let's say
during.
I keep fucking up. I keep fucking
Oh, in a
up,
relationship.
I keep fucking up. And then
Okay.
I'm like, oh, no, babe, I'm going to change. I swear I'm going to change. Like, do people actually change? Or does, like, from your experience, like, does the pattern just keep going most times? Or do...
It can. You have to want to, though. And that's how therapy works, is that you want change. You're seeking change. And it's, well, you can't quit smoking unless you want to, right?
Yeah.
Because if you love it, you can't quit anything. You can't quit doing any habit, any bad habit that you want to stop unless you really, really, really want to do it. Well, I want to go work out because I got a little extra. Okay, well, I obviously don't really, really want to do it yet because I'm not in the gym.
Yeah.
So if you really, I think the marriages that I've seen, you got two people come into the room and they sit down and they're in therapy. At some level, both of them want some change, and they're willing to change some part of them to try to make the marriage work. They've got kids, they've got a house, or whatever is going on. None of them want me to sit there and say, hey, you know what? It's not your fault. It's all his fault. No, everybody that's in therapy wants to know, okay, well, what can I do to contribute to the relationship? What can I do that can change? And what do you want out of the relationship? Is it wholesomeness? Is it romantic love? Is it
Have you ever had to give them a breakdown when it comes to the couples where you're like, this ain't working, y'all got to end it?
I haven't had that yet.
No?
No.
Well,
I haven't had that yet.
that's a tough thing to do, though, to just tell somebody that. Like, who are you to just say that? Like, even though there might be, like to me, even though you might see it from the outside, It's like, damn, I don't know if I could. If you could, can you just
Like,
Yes, you
that's
can.
a
Not
very
really.
Well,
it's
he'll
a
get
very-
mind fucked,
I mean,
man.
because that's such a almost ethical boundary.
right.
Yeah,
Where
like,
I'm
you
not going to
can't-
sit in the room and say,
Because that could.
bro, you need to leave her. I can't do that. I just I can't
Yeah.
I can't do it because now I'm putting my opinions, my thoughts into their head
Yes.
and trying to coerce. My question is, well, what do you want to do?
What do you
You
want?
What do
give
you
them
think?
that
You
option.
see, this is going on. You give them the. It's got to be their choice. What do you want to do? You give me a direction, and I will support you in that direction of which way we're going to go. You let me know where the road is, and I'll help you work it out. But it's got to be their decision, free will. I can't
Yeah.
color. I can't color for them.
Okay, so I have a scenario. Let's say it's a girl in a relationship, and the guy is doing really bad, and she basically has to take care of him. Because I've seen this happen quite a couple times. Like the dude is just fucking up. He keeps fucking up, and the girl's like, I don't want to leave him because if I leave him, he's gonna fucking die. Basically, like he's just already fucked up. What does one do in a situation like that?
Ooh, that's tough. That's a tough one. But I'd have to say, then we have that conversation. Then we have that conversation with her about, well, we go back to that. What do you want out of life?
I think
where you headed? What do you want to do?
Yeah.
What are the red flags we've talked about? What do you want out of this? Because then it's obvious. Okay, well, how many times have you been around with this? Well, he hasn't changed. It's been 3 years. Okay, well, is he abusive? What's he doing? Because if it's an abusive relationship, then that's another ethical situation because it's like, well, so you're going to let him keep hitting on you? What's going on? I mean, why? Why are you going to allow that to happen? Those are different situations. I mean, everything within context.
Yeah, it is crazy, and it goes back to, I think, when it comes to like long-term relationships, because I have a family member they have a very unhealthy relationship. Like, they've been together now, I want to say 7 years, and she's cheated on him. They both cheated on each other, just to say that, and it's just they've been through scenarios where one messes up their car, the other one, but
Like
they
War of the
still
Roses kind of
they'll
stuff.
say they're gonna separate, they're gonna go through the divorce and this and that, but they end up back, and it's very unhealthy. Like, you can just see it. But why? Like, I know you need like probably more information to understand it, but it's like, at this point, I would think like maybe it's some kind of like
those
witchery
situations
or
is
something
one
like
of those
that.
where
Like,
you look at it and you're like, are you fucking crazy, bro?
Right, it's
But
like-
then they don't see it, but you can't tell them they're
Exactly.
crazy.
I'm like, I
Right.
told him, like, man, what is wrong with you? Like, you just like to be miserable? Because that's what he's like. It sounds like every time you talk, but then you go back to her, And it's like, it goes back to maybe you need more information, but it's like, if it's toxic, if it's unhealthy, why stay? You know?
We get addicted to that.
You think is that?
We get addicted to that. We get addicted to the times when things are good. And we compromise away our boundaries and what we know would be best for us out of the, yeah, but man, this is so great, and this is great, and this is great. Yeah, but look at this.
It's like going back
What's
to
up
the
with all this over here, you
Going to
know?
the job thing is like when you get the paycheck. And then
Yeah.
you can go buy a bunch of cool shit.
Right.
But then you fucking
Yeah.
don't remember
I
that
got
you
the
had
money.
to do
I got the
payroll
money.
and all that dumb shit.
Yeah, I got the money, but man, I hate the job.
Right.
And sometimes we get stuck in that. If it's a job, you get stuck in that grind where, well, now I've got the house and the car and I got the bills. Well, now where do I go? Because I got to find a job that replaces that money so I can maintain where I am. And in a way, the romantic relationship is kind of the same way. It's just not really necessarily with money. I mean, maybe it is. I mean,
It's
we
with the
got bills
pleasure. The
together.
ple- it's the-
We're living in
like
there.
the-
The sex is great. Or whatever it is, and we rationalize and we give away our boundaries. That in any normal situation, I'm going to listen to you saying, it's like, man, I don't know. How do I get out of it? Man, you just don't go back. Sometimes, and when, if it's that toxic, the question kind of answers itself if you're sitting in the therapy room. Well, I don't know, but I see a lot of red flags here. How are you going to solve them? What are you going to do?
Maybe he likes toxic. Maybe
Which is unhealthy.
Kinda- it's
like you
unhealthy.
said, it gets addictive. Like I feel like the mind games, they get. That's what happens. They get addictive. Basically, it's just like, oh well, let me get a reaction out of him, and then he's like, let me get a reaction out of her, and it just
Right.
becomes a fucking.
Well, and in that situation, that's where if you have them both in there, one thing that we talk about a lot, and Alex and I did a whole podcast on it once, which was called Fair Rules of Fighting, right? And when you have conflict in there, most couples, one of the first things their go-to in when you have a relationship and you got conflict in the relationship, I'm going to pull out something that happened like 2 weeks ago. Well, you did this. And then she's going to go, oh, well, you remember last month when you did this, and all of a sudden our past has been weaponized. Wait a minute. Hold on. What happened last year? We already went through that. I apologize for that. We talked it through and we made up. Why are we now going to fight over it now a year later or a week later? Even a week later is bad. You got an issue with somebody, you deal with it right then. You don't yell, you don't cuss, you don't swear, you don't weaponize your past. You compromise, and God, you got to listen.
Yeah.
You got to listen to the other person. You got to say, oh, well, give me your feedback. What's going on?
Yeah.
What did I do wrong? And you actually got to listen to her, or you got to listen to him, whichever way it's going. Because I know we got
I've been in
ladies
those
out there
situations.
listening to this
I've
too.
been in
So
those
it's
situations.
both. You,
You did this. You did that. Dang, they just keep hitting you. I'm like,
But nobody likes that.
right.
Nobody
It's not
likes
good,
that
huh?
when you're having conflict, and that works. For job situations too. You can't always keep beating a guy over the head because 2 weeks ago he lost a big account. Okay. And what has he done in the last 2 weeks? Has he tried to make good on that? Or I mean, you can't keep beating somebody up with it. You got to let it. You got to
Address it and then
go.
let it go.
We're going to apologize for it. We're going to figure out whether there is no failure, only lessons. So what did we learn from that, and how are we going to move forward with that?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, yeah, you got mad at me because I wasn't taking the trash out. You communicated that, and I've been taking the trash out. So why are we arguing about that now?
Right.
You're tripping. Because I've been doing my house chores. I'm not being lazy. I got it done. Why are we yelling about it? That was.
I think that goes back to like people don't like having those tough conversations. Like just not. They don't want to address the. What do they say? The monkey in the.
The 800-pound gorilla in the room.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's
elephant in the room.
painful because when you bring the situation up,
It's gonna be uncomfortable.
No matter what it is, it's going to be uncomfortable with me because she's going to have something to come back to me with. So now we've got to discuss it, man. But if it's like having some kind of wound on your body, and if you don't address it and take care of it, it will get worse. It will fester, and it doesn't get better. It gets worse with time. And mental health is the same way, and especially in a relationship because those issues fester. And if you're not discussing it, whether you bring it up or not, you pass each other in the hallways, and you're doing things in the house, and she's thinking about it, and so are you. Whichever way it is, and whoever did what, y'all thinking about it.
And it's a matter of time before the.
And it's that backpack again, right? We're just
Right.
adding more stuff and more stuff and more stuff, and pretty soon we got this big mountain of crap that we got to try to figure out. And that's that explosion
It's
that
all
happens every
fucked up.
couple of weeks, and it's like, oh well, John and Jill, they're fighting again. It's about that time.
Yeah.
Every 2 weeks, they're going to be broke up.
There
No,
we
don't worry,
go.
but he'll be back by Wednesday.
Man, I think that's another
and it's
one
crazy because I've seen that happen.
where they break
Oh
up, go
my
back, break up,
God.
go back, and it's just
So where it's just like, stop talking to me about it, bro. Like,
I don't want to hear it. Exactly.
No,
yeah,
yeah,
I've worked and been able to build a relationship with people, and I've seen where it's that constant breakup. Like, I feel like if you're gonna get back with that person, you don't call it a breakup, or don't even consider it a breakup. Like, just a timeout.
I feel like when
It goes
back.
I like that. We're
Having
having a timeout.
It's we're
having some.
We're gonna get back. Like,
We're having some intense negotiations.
right. Exactly.
But you don't want to bash your girl, or you don't want to bash your significant other to all your friends because then they
Yeah, I
get a
think it's-
perception.
Right.
And
The
that
vibe,
clouds
the
way
vibes get all weird when
I
she
don't-
comes around. It's
now
like,
the way they
Exactly.
interact
Oh,
with your
she's-
significant other is
You talked all that shit
dicey.
about her, and
Right.
then now you bring her to the party, and
goofy,
you're like,
goofy.
you know,
Exactly.
So it's that's why like I you know
I
tend to
think
keep
it goes
private.
back to the addiction thing, though. Like when people, that's what I can compare that to is like a drug addict that says I'm done, and then like 2 days later you see him fucking at it again. Like that's how the relationships are. Like at that moment they're probably like, all right, fuck this, I'm done. But then like 2 days later they start missing each other, and then they're like,
right.
back.
It,
Like,
it goes back to also like you know not letting your emotions take over or make decisions or say anything. You know,
or
'cause-
being afraid to be alone.
or that's another one too.
Because you had brought that up too. You know, why do you go from one relationship to another? Well, man, spend some time alone. Figure out who you are. Figure out what lessons you learned from the old relationship that broke up, and try to figure out what you're going to do better next time. Because whatever you had here is not working, and you know maybe you need extended time apart so you can figure out. Well, okay, maybe I did this wrong, that wrong, and maybe you do come back together after a timeout or something, you know, but you need to figure out who you are, because if you're not taking care of you and you are not healthy, how can you share yourself with somebody else?
Yeah, because you can't depend on another person for happiness. I feel like you need to find happiness within yourself.
Yes.
And then the rest is just gonna come when
Right.
when it's the time. So
Right.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's I think that's very big.
You can want somebody, but you shouldn't ever feel that you need somebody. And, you know, you should be good on your own, and you want to share your life with somebody else and have somebody to walk around the park with, or
like you
go
said,
out to the
share,
lake, or
not
go
necessarily
share.
like,
Right.
yeah.
Share those things that you like, and then I've got my own things, and you've got your own things. We'll have our separate alone time, and that's good. That's good.
Yeah.
That's healthy, because then we can come back and we can do the things that we really like to do together.
Yeah.
I-
Instead of
I-
being so obsessive and like,
Based on what I've seen, as far as like at least on social media, like a lot of couples they have that like long-term successes when they have at least one thing in common. Like fitness couples, they have the gym in common. Maybe she likes doing drawing on the side, he likes doing gaming, to give you an example. But when it's time to work out, they can come together. When it's time to cook healthy meals, they can come together. So at least have something in common where it brings you guys even closer, right?
Right. I think that definitely helps. I think one thing, if, you know, nothing else, one key to a relationship is you have to continue to date that person. We're married now. What do you mean? What do you mean date?
It's over.
What do you mean date?
All that is over.
I mean date, dude. I mean, you can't, you have to have that time where just you and your significant other go out and do something together yourself. You have to continue to date that other person. Bring flowers, open doors, or you know, the cute little pet names you got for each other. Don't forget to, you know, kiss her on the forehead, or
my
you know,
friend the
cooking
other day on
dinner or
Snapchat,
whatever.
he got roses for his girl, and then he put, you gotta surprise your girl once in a while, or else she might surprise you.
Man, so much truth in that snap.
Oh, what a poet!
There's a lot of truth.
That's a
to
good
that.
one, man. That's blunt. I like that. I like
just
that.
made-
Shout out to
that
whoever.
made my case.
Shout out to
right
my guy
there.
David. That was
David's got it going on.
That was a good one.
Was it Dave?
No, another David.
Another day. Okay,
Yeah.
okay. Still wise. You know.
Okay,
Very
so we talked earlier about alcohol and how people drink alcohol when they're sad and stuff like that. Why is it okay to do that when we know that alcohol is a depressant and makes you feel like shit the next day? Why do we do it? Why is it a culture thing? Money?
Ooh, money.
That's a good one.
Trying to blow off steam. It's just something that's so ingrained in our society that, oh man, hey, I had a long, it's
Went
been
through a
long
breakup, let's go
week
drink.
at work, man. I'm gonna go crack a beer. I'm gonna do this, do that. Oh man, you know, Johnny broke up. Come on, man, we're gonna take him out and get him drunk this weekend. Oh man, I just don't agree with it. It's not healthy, and it doesn't lead to a good place, because then it builds that coping skill that, okay, every time something negative happens, I'm going to get drunk. And one thing leads to another, and that's how it builds on alcoholism and all this other. I think if you want to go off and blow off some steam, have a dinner, go out and have some fun with friends, I don't think a beer is any, or, wine, I don't think drinks with friends is necessarily wrong or bad.
It's just excessive.
In context, everything in moderation is okay. But I think if you're going to take somebody out that's had a rough week and had a breakup or whatever it is, I think you need to moderate how much they have and work at trying to cut them off if you know they're in a bad spot, because they will keep it going and they will take it to that nth degree, and nobody wants to see their friend, where you got to carry them out of the club and put them in the car, and then they're in such a dark place that, I don't know, personal experience, it's going to bring the whole vibe down. If you're trying to have a good time, you want to go out and try to find something fun that's going to get the mind off of whatever negativity was going on.
Yeah.
And a whole bunch of alcohol ain't going to get you there.
Yeah, that's a
Because
good
then
one.
y'all going to be playing therapist to a drunk. And that, that don't go good places.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Because you can't reason with a drunk.
So if somebody shows up to therapy drunk, you send them home?
I probably would. It's like, hey, man, you want to do this another time? Unless now if it's a crisis situation, I'm going to stay. I'm going to engage, and we're going to try to find a safe place for them. How did you get here? Did you Uber? Because if you drove, bro, I'm calling somebody. Where's your emergency contact? Because you are not driving away from here. Not like that.
Yeah.
I've never had it happen, but I mean that would be how I would handle that situation. Let's talk about how you're gonna, I've talked with people that come in, they're not drunk, but they're certainly in a crisis state where, the depression is heavy, that suicide is way up on their to-do list.
Do you get a lot of those?
I have not. Not in private practice. We used to, I worked the hospital for several years, and so we would have them come in after they'd been to the hospital and they knew they needed to come. I had many that way. In private practice, I've only had a couple, and in those, it's just like, well, we need to make sure you're safe, and what are you feeling? And again, I do a lot of listening, and we just try to bring that around in a reframing to where they're like, maybe it is safer that I do that, or
I like that reframing, because I think that's in most situations, like, you can turn a negative into a positive if you just reframe it. Like if you sit there and look at let's say the breakup or whatever, like what are the pros, what are the cons, and then it'll be, you kind of calm down, as opposed to when you're just thinking of the cons, your mind goes crazy.
Well,
you're
in the middle of and in the middle of the breakup, you're thinking about how much you love the other person and this and that, and they're gone and all. Okay, well, let's reframe that. Last week you were in here and you were talking about how crappy he treated you.
Yep.
He was doing this, he was doing that, she was doing this, she was doing that, whatever it is. You just have that conversation. So is this breakup really a bad thing?
Yep.
Think about the possibilities. Think about, you didn't like it because this, and once you know them and you've listened to them long enough, you know all these things that the other person's been doing. Okay. So why was this bad again? Tell me why you're so upset. Look at all these red flags. Look at all this shit that you said you didn't like. You don't have to do that ever again. You don't have to put up with any of that ever again. Yeah. I mean, why would you want to go back? He was beaten on.
Oh, because I love him. They'll probably hit. Yeah,
no, you don't love him. You love the idea of him. You love the idea of what he could be if he wasn't an asshole. Right? You love the idea of the other person. It has nothing to do with.
And that's crazy, man, because we do that a lot with everything. Like we fantasize about shit, like whatever it is. We start fantasizing and imagining things, and like, what could it be? And then that's where I think people just get let down, because it's like, bro, you basically made that all in your head, and it's not real.
And now you're disappointed, and like, it didn't turn out how I wanted it to be.
And now there's the anxiety and the stress because you're not who I wanted. Well, but you're down the road. You moved in 3 months, so now we got a lease together and all this. I got to put up with you for 12 months. What the hell?
Yeah.
And all that stress, if you're not what I really wanted, man, well, you didn't set those boundaries early on. to try and figure out just exactly, okay, are we really compatible, or do I just enjoy the idea that we've gone out a few times over the last few months and we've had a really, really great time. And I enjoy that time, but you're not living together material, because I seen your apartment and you don't know how to clean or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, if Wes was the president
Oh, shit.
and they go ahead and give you this report that says, hey, in the United States, there's this many suicides, there's this many depression, what would you think could be the solution to that? Because, I mean, it's a thing, you know, depression,
actually,
suicide,
Drug addiction.
you know.
It's all up.
All that is
Currently.
skyrocket, especially with this whole situation, right? What do you think is the solution, Mr. President?
Oh, well, glad you asked that question. Actually, a rather easy answer too. Well, we start a campaign about suicide awareness. I think this is Suicide Awareness Month, in fact. So
Is it?
Funny you brought that up. Yeah. So we need to destigmatize mental health and mental health services. It doesn't need to be something that we remove funding from. I think it needs to be a little higher on our list of things. If we improve mental health for all Americans, we give everyone more access to health care, and specifically mental health care, I think that would go a long way in preventing some other medical issues that come up. Because if you're in a positive frame of mind, if you're more positive about your outlook, it does have an effect on the rest of your body when you're living under stress and anxiety and that weight and depression and all of that. You can't live well hiding in your bedroom all the time. And, that's not to say that we need to medicate everybody either. Medicines certainly have their place to help us level out a little bit, kind of stabilize, and then we can get into therapy. We can talk about the issues, deal with them, move forward from them. But certainly removing the stigma of mental health and making it more accessible to everyone
That is
would be the best plan.
That sounds more reasonable than what they're doing right now, because it seems like, based on what friends of mine had told me, like I had a friend of mine that said that during this whole COVID situation, she was going through a panic attack, anxiety and stuff, and she went to the doctor, and all they did was just give her some pills. Here you go, some antidepressants.
Here's
Boom.
some little Xanax.
Well, and that's what the doctor's going to do, right? Because that's what doctors do, and that's their place. But and part of the reason why there's a team effort, if you go to a psychiatric facility, we have treatment team once a week for the residential patients, and this was so that the patient, the therapist, and certainly when you're in acute status, that's a daily thing. But you sit down with the doctor, a therapist, and a nurse, and we work in, okay, what are you working on in therapy? Okay, well, here's the meds we're going to give you to try to stabilize you, and here's because we want you to be safe. But it's all a package deal, and I think at that
How
point,
expensive is that?
the
Sorry
hos-
to
the
cut you
hospital?
off. Like, let's say right now I needed to go to a place like that to
You got
have
insurance?
all that. No.
Is it through insurance?
I barely got papers.
Damn, baby.
Is it?
If the hospital
just to throw a number, just so people know,
man, I can't remember how much it costs on a day. I know it's expensive. I know you could stay at the Hampton Inn for cheaper, but you get 24-hour around the clock supervision care.
Yeah,
It's
life
like being in the
changing. I mean, if you treat
it's
it
like
right.
being in the hospital, right? I think the better answer to that would be, if you feel that you need to go, don't wait until it's so severe. And this is the whole Obamacare. What was good about that was opening up that access to everyone so that they had preventative care, because too many people were going and they would wait. They didn't have a primary care, so they couldn't go to the doctor, and they didn't have insurance, so they would wait. And then when it got serious, they'd show up in the ER. Now we got tens of thousands of dollars of bills that the people are still paying, right? And now it's an emergency situation. Don't wait. Well, if we give you access to preventative care, if you can go see a therapist and we make that easier for you, then you're more likely to get stable on your own, work through your issues on your own, and not have to go to the hospital. the goal is not to put you in the hospital. It's to keep you out of the hospital.
Right.
Yeah.
And even when we had kids in the hospital, they'd be like, I don't want to be. Well, okay, well, that's up to you, man. I don't want you here either. I want you well, stable, and going home because you live a better life at home. And that's where I want you. I wouldn't want you in the hospital. I would want you to call me before it gets to that point so we can talk it out and maybe find out, oh, okay, well, I can do this. I can do this. You're actually going to listen to me? Yeah, man. No judge. No judging. Just tell me what's going on.
Pretty much make it more accessible for for the people that really need it.
Yeah.
I think that's a good.
Yeah, got to be available.
Yeah.
And your friends aren't going to do it for you. You should never make your friends or your significant other your therapist. That just means your friends are going to see you calling and go, oh, God, there he is again.
Yeah.
Man. He's going to talk about, oh, man, I don't have time for that. And so your friends stop.
I got my own problem. What you mean?
Right.
Like,
I got my own problems,
He would
man.
go
You
with
never
this
listen to
bullshit.
me.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And so they're just going to push that phone off to the side and it's like, what's going on? Your phone's ringing. No, it's not. And they start ignoring you, and now you feel more isolated, more alone.
More depressed,
No,
more-
you need to find a therapist. You need to sit down. You need to talk to somebody that is there to listen to you and will keep that stuff within that room because you don't necessarily want your friends to know all your business anyway. You don't hang your laundry in the front yard. Right? So you don't do that. Don't put it out on Front Street. If you got some issues, you want to tell your friends, hey, man, I'm just going through some shit right now. I found a good therapist, though. I'm working through it. But, man, y'all just support me. Okay. Yeah, I got you, man. You go do you.
Don't be such an asshole,
we'll be all right.
man.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's very interesting. So, West 2020 for president, I think that's a good
I like it.
strategy.
Doesn't
like
sound too
it.
bad, man. Doesn't sound too bad.
Yeah, I think it's a good thing, and because either way, we're messed up. This 2020 election's gonna go.
Okay, so I have another one. I read this book called The Four Agreements. I don't know if you've read it.
Never have.
Okay, it's called The Four Agreements,
I
and
might have to take a note on that one.
they talk about domestication. So how we're all domesticated to be a certain person, or like how does one break that? How do you just fuck it? I don't want to go to college. I'm gonna go do what I want. I don't care what my parents think. I don't care what my sister thinks. Like how does one get the balls to go through and do what they want to do and what makes them happy?
Well, your name's Isaiah, and at some point, somebody put a little bug in your ear that you could own your own body shop by the time you're 21, and you just say, yeah, that's going to be me, and I'm going to do it. I mean, college isn't for everybody, and college doesn't get everybody where they need to be. You go to college and get a degree, like he said, he doesn't know what he would do if he went to college. But he does know that when he gets done with Metro Tech, he's going to have his certifications. And he can just start working on cars. Boom, day one. He graduates, he's done, he go find himself a job, and he can start jobbing, getting some money, stacking that paper, and pretty soon he has enough. He starts his own shop. He's not working for anybody another day in his life. And I think that's amazing. And I think if you come with that argument that, hey, well, Mom, Dad, I know you want me to go to college, but, hey, I want you to look at this because if you want to go and work at Dell, I worked at Dell. I was a manager. I was a hiring manager. I had many people come in there, and they said, yeah, I got a 4-year degree. I got that. I don't care about no 4-year degree. What kind of certifications you got?
What can you bring
work
to the
on
table?
a computer? Can you work on a computer? That's what I want to know. Can you work on servers and switches, network stuff? Come on, man. What you got? Because that's what I'm interested in. Most of those guys didn't have college degrees. They had certifications. They'd been to Francis Tuttle, Metro Tech, Canadian Valley, wherever these career techs are located, and got some skills, whether it's working on cars, being a plumber. Mm-hmm. Plumbers don't go to college. And
They make a shit ton of money.
Yes, they do. I got a friend of mine just retired out of Florida, packed up and moved to North Carolina because that's where his daughter's at. No, he didn't go to college.
And
he
I
was in
think-
the Marine Corps.
Yeah, I think they're making it like a lot more, like they're knocking away the college degree. Like a lot of jobs don't require that anymore. They're requiring more of like, what can you bring to the table? Because I think Google's one. I think it was Google and another big company that really didn't. I want to say Microsoft. I could be wrong, but those don't require any like a
No,
high school
those are,
diploma.
those are techie. They want you to have
Right.
the certifications. They want you to have some hands-on skills of what can you do for me. I don't care about that. You're going to go work in a kitchen and cook. I don't need a 4-year degree in what? I mean, maybe if you went to Culinary Institute of America, Johnson Wales, Cordon Bleu, something like that, that would apply. Yeah, sure. But no, they want to make sure you can cook lunch. And plumbers, I want to make sure that you know how to properly install a hot water heater, and college doesn't teach you that. I think if there are certain jobs, though, that require college, you want to be an architect, you want to be a doctor, therapist.
Right, we need those. We need
To be
those.
a therapist, you got to, to have a license, you got to go to several years of school, and that's important. If that's what your thing is, then you look at, okay, well, what kind of a degree program do we get in to get there, and what college do I want to go to because it's got the best program, in my opinion, or whatever. And I think then it has an impact depending on what you want to do. But some jobs, college is just a waste of time and money for some kids. And I've said that at the hospital, and some parents, their eyes grow wide.
Like, no, I want my kids
They're
to go
ready
to
to come
college.
across the room, right? And I'm like,
yeah.
no, put the chocolate away.
Yes,
They're
I
ready
think-
to hit me, man. It's like, no, because I'm telling you, right
think
now
for
he's
the-
17, got a
yeah.
7th grade education. Little Johnny is not going to college, so let's work on some career tech stuff where he can get some marketable skills, and he can be a success.
For the parents, it's more of a trophy thing. Like, oh, my kids went to college and they graduated. They got this,
Well,
degree
they're trying
on
to
this.
live their life, what maybe they didn't do or they wanted to do through their kids.
Exactly, yeah.
You're projecting your wants, desires onto your child, and you cannot do that. All you're going to do is have fights with your kids, and you're
Right.
going to build animosity because I don't want to do this, Dad. No, you're going to be an accountant because that's what your grandfather was, and you're going to own the family business. I don't want to do. There's like tons of movies out there that discuss that very thing right there.
Yeah.
I want to sell some weed, bro. I want to have my own dispensary.
I was like, hey, wait a minute. Okay, yeah, all right, bet. We can
You know
do
what I'm
that.
saying?
We can do that.
a little dispo.
Yeah.
Okay, so your advice would be to basically tell them what you want to do and explain to them why you want to do it, and then
Yeah, it's
go
a
about your business.
conversation. It's a conversation. And again, there's kind of some conflict there, right? So we put it in the context
'Cause,
of all those fair fighting rules where I'm going to communicate with you. I'm not going to yell. I'm not going to curse. I'm not going to do all that. I'm going to listen to you, Mom and Dad, but I need you to listen to me too. And look, here's all the paperwork. This guy came from Metro Tech, and this is the career path. I really like doing this, and this is what I want to do. And look at this. I researched the jobs. Don't worry, it's a good career market, and I can go anywhere because, man, people are going to need me to work on their cars wherever I am. I don't have to stay here in OKC. I've always looked at getting out of this state and doing all this. I can do this in Florida. I can do it, wherever I want to live.
I think for the teenager that wants to have that conversation, maybe they're thinking in the back of their head, like, man, do I want to really have this conversation with my parents? And maybe, like, I'm going to let them down, and they're probably going to start yelling at me. So they're trying.
yeah.
Sometimes they just avoid it and then go
yeah.
with what the parents want instead of doing what they actually want.
What
And
I've seen
again-
also is like a lot of times parents will cut them off. So like it's like if you're not doing what we want, then you're
Get out.
not. Yeah, go do your own like. So at that point, the kids are like, "Oh shit! Now I gotta fuck it. I guess I'll be an engineer because if not, Dad isn't gonna support me."
It can go that way, or it can go the complete other way, that they resign themselves to doing that, and then what do you have? Well,
It goes back
little
to
Johnny
the
went to college,
good
but
pay, shitty job.
now he's 25, 26 years old, and he's got a job he hates, and
He's in debt.
married, kids, house, and now, and he hates getting up in the morning, hates going to work, doesn't like anything that he's doing, because that's what the family does. We're a family of doctors, and by God, you're going to...
You're
Not
The
right.
everybody
crazy
wants
one
to be a
too
doctor.
is when people have that like they've been like you said throwing all that on them, and then out of nowhere
Right.
they'll just be like fuck it, and then they let it all go. So it's like they have that midlife crisis. So at like 36,
Right.
40 years old, it's
Right.
like damn, you're starting a new family. You're starting a
Or they rebel earlier before they even get to college, and then that's how you get 17, 8-year-olds out there causing trouble, getting into jail and all that. Well, fine. I'm still not going to college, but they don't want to support me. I'm just going to do my thing anyway. And now they're out there just wilding.
Yeah.
Dan, so kind of talk to us about how the whole, because you do Let's Do Therapy with Alex.
Right.
How did, like, he mentioned when we had him in the podcast, he mentioned that he reached out to you and you were down. So, like, you're always down for this kind of stuff and, like,
oh, yeah.
big fan of it, huh?
Oh, I am.
Yeah,
I am.
You guys do that every Friday. The
Close to it. I think we're up to about 30 podcasts. I mean, we sometimes take weeks off and all that, but now we've been doing it about a year now. I guess
that's
it is.
crazy.
So he
and
hit me up about this time last year.
Yeah.
And I got an email, and of course it comes over from Psychology Today, and I'm like, oh, potential client. I'm reading the email, I'm like, oh, not a client. Oh, an opportunity. So opportunity was knocking, and he said he'd reached out to a bunch, and nobody was taking him up on the offer. I don't know why. I mean,
I think a lot of people just are shy.
Or it could be like maybe they're in that mentality of like, oh, I'm not going to get free information out on the internet. Like, you got to pay. It could be that too. So if you reached out to a lot of therapists.
Or some stage fright, or, oh, man, I could get into some ethical issues, or that
seems like a big one now.
So you're self-employed right now.
Yes.
So you're a boss. You don't, like, you can say whatever you got to. That's
right.
what's awesome.
Well, I mean, I still got a license, I mean, within context, I wouldn't want to have like a therapy session. And that was my only thing to Alex. I said, okay, yeah, I don't mind coming on and talking about general subjects, but I'm not going to come on there and then give you therapy and all that. I mean, that would be, and that's more not as much from an ethical standpoint of mine. I was like, man, I wouldn't want you to do that because that's like HIPAA and you're putting all your stuff out there, and man, that could go places we wouldn't. Yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah. And not that he ever asked, but I said that's the only thing we got to shy away from actually doing therapy on the podcast. But we got together, we just pick a topic and
go from there
and just roll with it, freestyle.
That's pretty amazing, man. Y'all at this point y'all built this relationship where it's like, let's get this content out there. Let's provide. And it's, I'll be watching. The last one was pretty interesting. The Paul George situation, the whole mental thing. And that's another thing too with athletes and celebrities, that the mental thing gets to them because they have this whole pressure, they got to meet this standard. Like,
and then they probably feel like everybody just wants to be their friend because they're fucking popular.
Think about that. Think about that pressure that, man, I'm an NBA player. I'm at the top of my game. Yeah, because that door is so small to get in to play at that level. High school ball is hard enough to get into, but there's more opportunities, a lot of high schools. But then if you want to play in college, now where are you going to go? Because it's going like a funnel. It keeps getting smaller and smaller. If you want a shot at NBA, you got to make that D1 list, right? And that's hard. And then you get there. So the pressure on these athletes, and whether it's NBA, NFL, whatever it is, to perform at peak level, anytime they go out there and take a tip-off or a kickoff or whatever it is tremendous. And even the kids that are in high school that are vying for those positions at D1 schools, they feel that pressure. So we think, man, look at this person. They're so successful. Man, you got it all, man. You got a scholarship. You're going to Baylor. You got this, that. Or man, you're going to be I can only imagine that young man down there starting quarterback, OU Sooners. Man,
the pressure.
I'm excited to watch him, but the pressure on this young man, because Oklahoma is no joke when it comes to football. So you've got the spot, man.
That's like,
Bradford.
You're the star.
Bradford held that, right? And then Baker Mayfield and all these other guys.
Jalen is
Jalen Hurts.
You got to be a bad man to get in the field like that.
You're filling some big-ass shoes.
Exactly, like Heisman Trophy caliber quarterback. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
how many Heismans does OU have, right? And now you're coming in here, you're going to be the next. So now you got that pressure. Man, there's excitement too. Right. Man, I got a shot at the Heisman. Hell yeah. He's got a shot at a Heisman because he's coming to OU. He's going to play. But the pressure. And
it's, the case that gets me, I don't know if you're familiar, Aaron Hernandez, he would basically have an apartment where he would just go and do drugs. Like, that's how fucking stressed he was, I guess.
It's
like,
crazy.
Like, basically, he had his mansion. He
was
all
good,
this life
too.
going on. And then
Right.
he had this little-ass apartment where he would go and get high and like a trap. Like, he would just
Right.
be in there, like, fucking drugged out. Like, you have all these nice things, bro. And,
Right.
But it was just the pressure that came with it, all that
In the
shit. Like,
stigmatization of mental health, I probably am not wrong in saying helped get him to where he was. Because if there was no stigma about going to seek and which is why, man, hats off to Paul George for saying, hey, I needed it and I went and got it. And
He's probably the
Miley
fewest.
Cyrus too. You know, I didn't know she had, but yeah.
Big
certainly.
Sean, I was
You know.
surprised when Big Sean did it too, because he was at the top. Like, he was at the top of his career, and he just stopped making music. He was, I need to go to therapy, or like, yeah, take
'Cause
care
you
of my
got-
mental health, because I can't keep
Dave
doing this
Chappelle. Dave Chappelle just said,
Oh.
"Whoop, here's the keys. I'm out," and took a break
shit. Yep.
and came back once he was
I think.
more clear-headed. Right?
Do you think
So-
it's a numbers thing where it's like for example, an artist like Big Sean, to give you an example, like seeing numbers every time he releases a song and knowing that every time you have to release a song, it has to perform that same level, and if it doesn't do it, it gets to them.
A
You know?
perfect example of that is T-Pain. T-Pain had so many hits that he kind of went crazy. He was like, I need another hit, another hit, another hit.
So that
And
kinda
he
messes.
It was slappers after slappers, just, and it got to the point where he, like, where's T-Pain now? It sucks, but he's like, he would drink a lot of Hennessy, and he go to the strip club, and that was his getaway from all the. But it's like the pressure was.
Yeah, it goes back
intense.
to like even me as an NBA fan, like I fell in that trap of like I wouldn't go on social media and bash like Paul George when he had a bad game, but I would tell my friends, man, he's trash. He played trash.
I mean, Kevin Durant,
And
I'm
then it's
surprised
like-
that dude, like, he has to be strong, because for everybody to just call him a pussy and
Well-
a bitch, and it's like, damn, bro, that's.
Kevin Durant's a little weak on that side because it's like one thing.
But still, bro, it's bullying if you really
Right,
look
it is,
at it.
it
It doesn't
is.
matter if he's weak or not. At that point, you're basically saying, like, yeah, it's because, I mean, you know, you just.
It is. To me, it's like you are this successful person. Like, why don't you do not read the comments? Don't read the comments.
Yeah.
Like, LeBron is great at that. LeBron is great. Just like the other day, he snapped on a tweet because they were comparing him to the Scottie Pippen and Jordan. He's like, I'm over here minding my own business. And here goes the game that had nothing to do with him. And they did that comparison, like LeBron in Miami with Dwayne Wade. Who was the Scottie Pippen? Was it him? And it was just this whole dilemma. But he came out and tweeted, why you guys are bringing me up when I'm my own person? I'm not trying to be a Jordan or a Pippen and stuff. So it kind of triggered him on that. But LeBron, for the majority of the part, he's been great dealing with the hate, because that's what I always say. Like, great success comes with great hate. You know, it's just that it is what it is. And LeBron is excellent with that. He doesn't let it get to him.
Yeah, and you can't. You can't.
I think you can.
That's got to be a boundary.
Kevin Durant's thin
that
when it comes to that stuff.
Yeah, you've got to have. That's got to be a hard set boundary. That okay, well, I know they're going to be out there doing that. I'm just not. Even
I signed up for this. I got to be prepared.
I'm not going to read it, because you're going to have that set of people that are fans. You know, whether they're Oklahoma City Thunder fans, and they're going to be all about you, and then you leave. So now who's your fan base, right? Okay, well, Golden State. But your fan base travels with you, and then anybody else is going to be hating on you no matter where it is. And, man, that's got to be tough. So if you consume that, you just sit there and suck in that negativity, and you have, man, it could happen to you. Now you're negative, and, you know, how do you get out there and perform?
Yeah, exactly.
When you've got
I
that
think
stress on you.
I've always been the person that, like, as a sports fan, especially when it comes to the NBA, like if a player had a bad game, like James Harden, I always say, hey, he's a great seasoned player, but when it comes to playoff, he shrinks, he's trash, and this and that. And it's like, it's a lot of pressure. At the end of the day, it's a lot of pressure. And the bottom line with that is, like, he's still a human, you know? He's like you said, you know, in the podcast with Alex, you know, you're going to have a day, we're going to have games where you have bad shots, you know,
Right.
it's not going to go in, like, no matter what you're doing.
Right.
And even me, as, like, I play basketball, and I'll score 12, 15 points, like, in this tournament that we're playing in this league. And I'm like, wow, I'm exhausted. And I'm like, I had to put all this effort. So imagine it doing on a daily basis at that high of a level.
At that high of a level.
Whoa, I'm gassed out.
Making millions of dollars.
Exactly.
And
like,
they expect you to hit like 23, 25, 30
every
shots.
time.
You know, And, you know, in that light, my hat's off to Westbrook for all those triple doubles.
Yes.
I mean, you think about that.
Golly.
And the positive mindset that it took to keep you in that game and not, wow.
And I think it's like social media. I feel like people have too much of a voice now, because then again, despite the amazing career that he had that year with the triple doubles and stuff, Westbrook is stat padding. People found some way to say, he's past. Bro,
Stat padding. Dude made the shots, man.
If you can average, exactly.
Come
do
on,
it.
man.
Like, if it's that easy, do it.
Go on. If it's padding, go on, do it. What is it? Fake news?
Right.
That's why
we watched him do it.
And then again,
I just can't sit there, and when I watch ESPN and they're talking,
exactly.
I'm like, shut the fuck up, because you guys, it's like we had it in with boxers. It happens. I hate it when it happens with boxers, especially because these dudes are fucking training to, like they're training to be in the ring, getting punched, and then you're gonna say, I would have threw this punch like this, or bro.
Stephen A. Smith, man. That's why I stopped watching these shows. As much as a big of a fan that I am about sports, and I like to talk about sports. Stephen A. Smith, what do you think about Paul George's awful game? And he goes and gives his like, bro, you are not Paul George. You do not know what went down. Like, I had to sit back and say, man, I take that back. Like I hit up my friends and I was like, man, I take that back, man. Paul George is a great player, man. And he gave us some good-ass memories. And even though he had a bad playoff run, I'll take it back. It's not easy. It's just like, not an easy task.
It'll be the fat dude at Hooters drinking a beer, eating wings, saying, he's out of shape. He
needs to go in the gym and knock down them shots, man. Come on.
He didn't drink enough water.
Yeah, so it goes back to the social media platform, and then, like, everybody now has a voice. So it's like,
everybody's extra brave too, because you're behind that phone. Not enough people have been slapped in their mouth for what they say. Right? There's no danger. I'm sitting on the other side of town.
It's easy to create like fancy pants Gary, and just put like a pizza profile picture and just talk shit.
But you know how miserable? Like, who does that?
That's why, like, I'll talk
exactly. How miserable is your life?
How
worthless is your life that you're going to create a fake profile so you can go out and troll some people?
Right. It's easy. It's easy to do
Call
that.
Dr. West.
Call me.
Yeah.
Call me. You need some help.
I think, and that's never been my thing. Like, I think taking the time to comment some negative stuff, like, if I'm going to say something negative, I'm not going to say it at all. I just scroll, keep moving. Like, if
that's what Grandma always said.
Exactly.
You ain't got nothing nice to say.
Exactly. And it's so easy to, like, comment the negative stuff instead of, like, the positive. But, I mean, I that's what I've noticed. Like, I feel like the more the negativity, like, if you are a rapper and you talk about drugs, sex, hoes, and stuff like that, you're going to get that attention. You're going to get pushed. You're going to get pushed up. And, like, bro, I'm driving and I'm like, I don't listen to the radio.
It's an energy thing, basically.
Yeah.
Like, the energy that you're putting out is basically like a perfect example, and it's super fucked up. But I was doing music videos, like trap music videos, where I would go to the hood and just shoot the video. I don't know what these dudes are doing, but it doesn't look like they have a job type shit. You know,
yeah.
In the streets.
Trapping.
So they're dropping songs back to back, and they're all about, this is my hood, this, that. A couple weeks down the line, one of them gets shot and killed. So at the moment, I'm shook. I'm like, oh, what the fuck? But then you listen to the songs, and that's all that they were asking for that, you know. Right. And it's like, it's so sad to accept, but it's like, you put it out there, bro. Like,
right. Yeah. The energy you put out in the universe is gonna come back. I mean, it's simple karma.
Yeah.
It's simple karma. What are you consuming? If you're eating Big Macs every day for every meal, we know how unhealthy that is, but mentally, the rest of that, if I put myself in a position where...
It goes back to the dopamine, like, oh, you're eating this unhealthy-ass food, but you know, like, it brings you joy, but you know it's unhealthy. You know, it's just that.
And what you communicate, and what you sing about, and what you listen to, and what you consume mentally is the same.
You believe in the law of attraction?
Sure. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, it just goes back to, like, I'm driving and I barely listen to the radio, but the time I do listen to the radio, they played the Cardi B and Megan Thee Stallion. I don't know if you heard about it. Mm-hmm. Very explicit. I'm like, I mean, they beep out all the bad, but damn, like, I get it, you know, and I'm not bashing the song at all because like just the guy rappers do it. I guess the females can do it too, but it's like this thing is on the radio. Like, wow, this shit is normal.
I had a deep conversation yesterday with a friend, and it was like God and devil type thing. So it's like I kind of believe in that. So you either like are gonna, as a musician, as an artist, you're either gonna go rap about the evil shit going on, the drugs, or you're gonna be like the underground dude like Dizzy Wright, which probably you guys don't know about. And he's just a positive rapper talking about like the law of attraction. He has the songs named after books and shit, but people don't
compare numbers.
Yeah, if you look, he's just probably
that's what it is.
Struggling artist probably, but he chose he'd rather be at peace and be like, I'm not preaching bad shit for the people.
Right.
I don't have a lot of money, but at least I'm not fucking poisoning the youth and shit.
Right. It's like the same with the YouTube stuff too. The creators, a lot of creators went through mental health because they had to do the extreme shit to get the views. They had to either fake these pranks. They either had to go through like some kind of reaction because that's what draws attention, drama.
That's basically what selling your soul is, man.
Pain,
whenever you're doing some shit that's just for the numbers and the hype and
that created a lot of like depression and like because it's like people like the negative, they're attracted to the negative shit, and it just draws more attention, more views, and it's just reality. It's just what's gonna keep going on, and I don't think that's gonna change. I mean,
you get to choose basically. I feel like at the end of the day, you choose the good or you choose. I mean, that's for you,
right?
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, we've been here for an hour and 30 minutes, man. It's been
time flew.
Yeah.
I didn't even think it'd been that long.
Yeah, it's crazy. Do you guys want to add anything else? I mean, like I said, we can keep going. There isn't no time limit, but I, don't want to keep you from your day. So
if somebody's going through some things, I guess what's the process of getting in touch with you, and like how can you help somebody? I guess
well, they can call me. So I got my number. I guess I can give you guys my number, and you can put it on there. But it's 405-633-0316. That's my cell phone, business-wise. And
social media, you got any social medias?
I got a Facebook page, West Warner LPC. And then I got a website that I started to kind of revamp it, retool it, renovate it. And I just didn't like it. And so I kind of like raised the whole thing down to the foundation. I'm building back up. But that's westwarnerlpc.com. I did make sure at least my contact page is up so that people got that out there on that one. But and then, of course, on Instagram, it's Let's Do Therapy with Alex. And we're also out on Stitcher, Apple Podcast, wherever you find your favorite podcasts.
Yes, so make sure y'all check that out as well if you're looking for some mental health advice. Let's Do Therapy with Alex Taylor and Wes. Great podcast. I've listened to most of the episodes, and it's some good information. So
appreciate you, man.
Yeah.
Appreciate you. This one's pretty good too.
Yes.
I've enjoyed listening.
Yes. It's been
it's a little random, but
I think
no, random's good, man. Random's good. If the content is there,
exactly. Did we leave anything out as far as topics that we wanted to touch?
I think I asked plenty of questions.
Yeah, and don't worry, man. We're gonna have you back, and I think I want to get you guys scheduled, you and Alex. So we'll get that. We'll get that in down the road.
Yeah, bring it on. I'd be more than happy to come back.
That'd be fun.
It's been a blast.
Yes. So we're gonna go ahead, ladies and gentlemen, and wrap this podcast up. Catch us on the next one. Peace.
Peace.